For well over the past decade, mainstream media has been dominated by stories involving the apocalypse. More specifically, apocalypses involving zombies.
This is now the United States of Zombieland.
Don't drink your soda and stop.
One of, if not the most popular example of this in recent years is The Walking Dead, which has dominated the minds and households of millions for several years, as well as The Last of Us. Another competitor within the genre that rose to popularity through the medium of a video game. For obvious reasons, these two will continue to be compared to each other for the rest of all time. But which of these two worlds holds the least chance for survival? In order to assess this accurately, we must first take a look at the initial outbreak, starting with The Last of Us. And based upon a newsletter you can read at the beginning of the game as Sarah, the outbreak initially starts due to some contaminated crops coming in from South America and imported to the rest of the world. So this virus pretty much spawned in from people eating food, which is something everyone does.
Oh. Well, I'm right f***ed, aren't I?
So we're not looking too hot already. You should also keep in mind that The Last of Us has one of the more realistic depictions of a virus outbreak, as the infection that zombifies the people in the world of this game is based upon the very real fungus cordyceps,
Deadly spores will burst from its tip,
which instead of just mercifully ending you, keeping you alive and conscious while it puppeteers you, forcing you to eat people. Like seriously, if you ever want to be creeped out, just listen to the sound of a runner crying because it doesn't want to hurt you. You have to take into account that on day one, every single last zombie is going to be a runner. Unless you've been doing cardio like Usain Bolt, your chances aren't looking too high. Keep in mind, y'all, this is all still just the outbreak, day one. I haven't mentioned any of the potential hunters or looters that could come after you, military that may not want to take any chances to see whether or not you're infected, and all those incredibly bad drivers. This is honestly in complete contrast to the outbreak in the world of The Walking Dead. But I think we can all obviously admit the zombies seem way tamer.
What the fuck?
And it's actually always the human enemies who are really the #1 threat. You also have to keep in mind that the way the zombies work in this universe, everyone's already infected.
We're all infected.
Meaning that regardless of whether it traveled from the air, the water, or the food, you're screwed, bud.
No.
I don't know about y'all, but I would personally prefer to live my life that way rather than just having to constantly worry about getting bitten or infected. You know, I'd rather just have it all be guaranteed. So the first point for initial outbreak is going to have to go to The Walking Dead.
Nice moves there, Clint Eastwood.
Next thing we'll want to take a look at is the environmental survivability, which on The Walking Dead side of things ain't looking too bad. After the first few weeks of the virus, all the infected will pretty much be stacked up on top of one another, meaning you can expect the streets of every city to be flooded with walkers.
Making my way downtown, walking.
However, this also frees up every other area that's more rural or secluded. As long as you don't mind living in the woods or building a giant fence around you, you'll be just fine.
Liar.
The reality of the world of The Last of Us seems a little more difficult though, as even 20 years into the apocalypse, there are still extremely active government groups holding civilians in facilities and enacting martial law. In between all that, you gotta deal with groups like the Hunters,
Please help.
the Rattlers, and even the Seraphites, who will all unalive you without second thought or you doing anything to them. Keep in mind, even with all that, I still haven't mentioned that there's multiple types of zombies. I'm not talking about a variant or two here and there like in The Walking Dead. I mean ones with basically superhuman abilities, like clickers who have echolocation and can see without having eyes. Or bloaters who can shoot fungus bombs at you and one-shot walls like they're nothing. Don't even get me started on the Rat King. There's also the fact that there's seemingly countless patches of spore-filled air. 90% of the time you have to walk around with a gas mask on your face just to stay living in this world.
I don't really feel like it.
Yep, the second point is also going to The Walking Dead. The last talking point I'm going to go over in this one is also going to determine which of these two has the bleakest world. That is going to have to be the minds and actions of the people.
Just look at the flowers.
In the world of The Last of Us, I feel it's safe to say that allies are slim, especially when you consider the fact that during 2 decades of the apocalypse, the only person Joel associated with outside of his brother Tommy was Tess.
Ain't been out here in a while.
It's like we're on a date.
And the way those two got by was by smuggling, stealing, and beating the brains out of anyone that got in their way. While similar things can be said for the world of The Walking Dead, I feel that it's also safe to say Rick Grimes has shown us a world with way more people unified.
We're the ones who live.
Coming across loyal, good-hearted people seems to be a much less difficult task in the Walking Dead universe. When you look at that series' villains, some of them are way more tame than the villains in The Last of Us. Just think about Negan in comparison to the Hunters and David.
The rules here, I wouldn't want to be somewhere where it wasn't someone in charge who let something like that fly.
The fighting is the part I like the most.
Yeah, I feel like that says all that needs to be said. So without further ado, I officially declare the worst possible zombie apocalypse you could try to survive as the one shown in The Last of Us. That's literally just my take. Feel free to leave a comment below on the video giving yours, and a like and subscribe to help your boy get monetized would be much appreciated. Thanks for watching the video. I love you. Signing off.
I hate one of mine.
All the bitches on my aura. This ain't no shit you could cop at a store, boy. I could put you on. I'm dying at a border. They say they want my soul, so shit off of art. You could probably afford it.